Hello everyone! Just double checking that there's audio because that is always the problem. Yes, seems like there is audio. So welcome to another installment of Mania. Yes, I have changed the name if you did watch end of last year. So, but I do believe it is better. So, yeah. Today's going to be an interesting one. I do have Chris up there on the shelf looking menacingly at me because I'm not planning on painting her tonight. I have some other plans, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. I do have the Infinity miniatures on my table that I started working on last week, so I might touch them, but that is not actually the plan for today. The plan for today is to paint these little guys. So there's two versions. There's the sweets one, and then there's a ramen one. These are vending machines that I designed and laser cut for a terrain range that I designed and manufactured. Well, designed and is continuously manufacturing. Although there is still some new ideas. So I'm still designing. I'm still expanding on the range, which is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, but they have been standing on my shelf for I think about a year now, and I haven't finished them yet, and I think it's time. So there is 5 of them. The plan is mainly just to paint in the details rather than to paint the whole thing. So the whole thing is grey, and I think I'm going to stay with that. But then there is, I don't know how clear, yeah, it does show up quite clearly. But there is some engraved details on the sides that I just want to bring a little bit more to life, if that makes sense. So there's 5 of them that I'll be touching on them. Hopefully I get them done tonight, and then I don't think I'm going to do that tonight, but I'll somewhere during the week, and then I'll just show you next week. Then I will run the wiring for them, because they actually get LEDs inside, which obviously is awesome. That makes them light up. So, but then I'll show you what that looks like next week. In the beginning of the episode, I have no idea what I'm painting next week. That's next week's problem. So that is the main plan for today. The other thing that I do also have on my table that I probably will be touching on, mainly because it is an interesting thing, at least in my opinion. Not a lot of people are aware of this. So the models I've got to do this is I've got some Harlequin models that is a lot more dusty than I anticipated. Whoops, probably should have done that off camera. They've been standing for a while. Which is sad. It's very, very sad. I mean, models should be painted. It's why we buy them. So, I got these secondhand. I don't even remember when. A while back. But then stripped them down because I wanted to paint them differently. Because there's a way that I want my miniatures to be painted. I want them to be a part of my Drukhari, or my Dark Eldar force, which is kind of inspired by DC villains. So, obviously Harlequins will be Harlequin. I do have 2 Death Chesters. One of them I will paint as Joker, don't worry. And I will do that on camera, because where else am I going to do that? I don't really paint anywhere else. So I've got 2 of these bikes. I think they're called Star Weavers, if I remember correctly. I haven't actually double checked the names for a while. And then I've also got, I think from the same person, this Shadow Weaver, which they added on a transparent plinth. post to have it floating above his base, which I think is awesome. But they're at the point where I need to prime them in order to actually paint them. So the plan for tonight is to just paint the transparent parts with masking fluid, so that I can go out and prime them with a rattle can. So yeah, that is. I hope I get it to these tonight. Main plan is the vending machines. I think they're very cool. They do actually open at the back. They're supposed to. Oops. It's okay, I can make more. Nah, it's not that bad. Just maybe need to loosen up some of the joints. So they do open up at the back, and then there's a small hole there for the wiring to go to the front. But yeah, so that's the main plan. Some masking fluid, and then if there's time and I feel like it, I'll be continuing with the Infinity models. We'll see how things go. Yeah, then I am drinking some Drams again tonight. You'll see the bottle in the background in the moment. So the label currently on the bottle is incorrect. So as for the, if you're looking for it at Draymond's, it is called their chili whiskey. Absolutely beautiful whiskey, beautiful. It does actually burn a little bit. So I enjoy it, but I'll be sipping on it slowly throughout the evening. Now, before we do that, that's beautiful, beautiful. The reason why I say the label's different is I relabeled it, calling it Dragonfire Whiskey as a part of one of my D&D campaigns, which will be continuing on Wednesday. I know the bottle is very close to empty. I do have a spare. I just need to relabel it. And I did add their logo and all that stuff to the back as well, so there's no issues. If you want to find out more about Dragonfire, I'm not sure it's going to come up on Wednesday's stream, but go watch our D&D stream. It's also a lot of fun. I am noticing now that one thing that I did try and change is not popping up, which I'm not too happy about. I don't think I'm going to be able to fix it now, so I'll fix it in the future. That is just the Twitch chat, so if someone asks something on Twitch and you're watching on YouTube, then you can actually see what the question is, so I just don't just randomly say stuff, because I feel that's what's been happening in the past. But for some reason it's not popping up. I still need to figure out what's going on there. Hopefully I have that sorted by next week. So I'm going to shift the camera, so don't get drunk, to face more where I am painting, and then you can also see a bit better. So there's paper here. It's called sanding paper. The reason being, I have noticed that the way I primed these initially, they are, where's the rest of it? There's the rest of the parts. It's important. It's a little bit glossy, even though it's not actual gloss paint, but the paint tends to pull up on them. So I'm just going to touch them with some 800 grit sanding paper just to give the paint some texture to hold on to. Yeah, I'm going to jump in. I've said a lot and done nothing. Not a lot of people are good at that, but I want to be good at doing things. I really need to fix that. So the glue at the top, we can pop the bottom off. I'm not going to be worrying about that for tonight. Then we can pop this out. We will be painting. I'm not sure if this is going to go anywhere. Then the transparent piece that is intended to spread the lights. Oh shit, where did this come from? Oh no! No! It's broken! Sorry, that's my landlord calling. I just want to pop him a WhatsApp to ask if it's urgent. I hope it's not. Now he's sending me a voice note. So some people don't think. But maybe that's it. Well, I don't know. He is very nice. I do enjoy him quite a lot. Very good friend of mine. But sometimes he doesn't think straight. Or at least not. I think a better way to describe it, he doesn't think the way I would like him to about certain things. I think that's the more accurate description. Second one, the base off. I will glue that. Actually contemplating, should I just cut the head off and glue that on so it's a shorter staff that they're holding at the top? I don't know. I do have two other shadow seers, so a little bit of difference might be good. Okay, he's not reading that, so I am just quickly going to mute you and listen to, that is not what I said, to whatever he sent me to try and figure out what's going on, whether or not I should be worried. So good news, it wasn't nothing serious, at least I think not. His cat just decided to come and visit, which I don't mind. Apparently his pets love me. But yeah. I'm trying to find myself. Easier said than done. So the benefit of this is it really only needs a very light sanding, just to roughen it up a little bit. It already feels a lot better than the previous one. So I'm kind of the opinion. He did mention a while back that he wants a shout out, and now he has been specifically mentioned. So I'm gonna take it as a personal insult if he doesn't actually say something in chat. We'll see if he does. Thought I was missing one. So we found out during the week that Comic-Con also shifted up by a month. At least from what I understand from the communication, is it's not their fault. There's another event, and the venue told them, well, effectively, well, at least from what I gathered, the venue told them to either change your dates or don't have your expo this year. So it's still happening, but it's a month earlier. Which sucks, because it's a lot less time to do all of the things that both myself as well as a lot of other people wanted to do. So I've heard some of the cosplayers are also very unhappy. I mean, obviously it's a month less to actually prep their cosplays for Comic-Con. And in my case, it's a month less time of development. I need to start prepping a month earlier, which I did not budget on. I'm also in the process of acquiring I actually think it's 100mm miniature, not a 75 like I initially thought it would be, but to partake in the painting competition that happens at Comic-Con, which should be a lot of fun. The first time for me to participate at something of that level. So we'll see. How that goes. I'm not anticipating that I'm going to win anything, but it's also not the reason why I'm joining. So, sadly, this one got a little bit damaged at some point. I think I broke it because I tried forcing it when it didn't want to go. Oops. It's the downside of this very fine paper. It gets clogged up so quickly. They're not supposed to be loose. beak steed. And the glue just needs to dry and it should be fine. The painting will begin soon. I promise. My pressure. It really feels like that. But I'm almost done. Last one. Should do it, I hope. Now, I shall be using an older brush for this because it's a bit rougher work and don't want to mess up my sable brushes on something like this. It doesn't feel right to me. There is no space. So, as cool as it is, so this is what's happening. That there's a brush in there that I probably should take out because it's actually quite a good brush. And as cool as this space is, I don't think the designers of the Army Painter really thought this through, because the moment you lift this up, that side is wet, and you're not going to put it down like this to get to your brushes. You're going to want to flip it over, and then everything rolls around. So it's a cool idea, but I don't feel it's all that practical. But maybe that's just me. See, I might need to switch over to Citadel, which is a significantly thicker paint that might provide better coverage than... this is not too shabby. I wouldn't say it's great, but after 2 coats it should be quite decent. Ooh, yeah, that is what I'm after. I don't know what it is, but for some reason for me, it feels that buttons and screens in Cyberpunk should be green. So I'm gonna make all of them green. Some shameless self-promotion. Always need that. So, as time progresses, what I'm hoping to do is to add a secondary camera so I can have one looking straight at me, and then have one that's a bit more focused in on the actual miniature painting aspect. So the one thing that I am kind of cheating with here, a good way to make your colors pop would be to give them a white undercoat rather than painting directly on the grey like I am. It is interesting because I'm also planning on giving them mainly. For some reason I can't speak. The words, they just don't come. To make the LEDs that I put in them a combination between green and yellow, which will actually mimic the colors that I'm now painting on the screens and buttons. That's fairly decent. If the camera will focus, there's green buttons that will become brighter as time continues. But I'll definitely have to do a second coat. Okay, time for the second coat. From there on, I'll start adding brighter and brighter and brighter colors. I don't think the comparison will be really clear enough on camera, but no stress, I shall post photos of it tomorrow. On the Instagram. Apparently I'm quite popular tonight. Who's looking for me now? No idea. add some yellow to brighten it up. And really make the color pop. So, I'm going to let that one dry for a bit longer. So what the plan is currently, just go from right to left with a brighter color. The reason for that is, at least in my mind, that is the more logical light source. Ah, that looks really cool. It just brings it to life. I mean, just look at that comparison. So this is the one that I've added the yellow, this one not yet, and it makes substantial difference. I'm contemplating continuing with the infinity miniatures because I've got some paint already halfway mixed up, but I really want to get these guys done. I really need to get one of those vortex mixer thingies that you just put the paint pot on and it mixes it for you, because this is a rag. So, ammo paints, which is largely what I'm using currently and can't find anymore. The white caps are regular miniature paints and the yellow caps are airbrush paints, which makes sense because I bought a lot of them specifically for airbrushing. That does also mean that these ones are a tad thicker, So they should cover a bit better. I just realized that it's not necessary to paint a certain portion because that portion will be hidden. So, looking at that, I don't need to paint these bottom tabs. Let's get a minute closer. Because they shall be hidden away. Oops. It is what it is. I need to paint a little bit over them, but I can avoid painting all the way over them. So the plus side of what I'm doing now is I'm giving it effectively a white background, which will make subsequent colors pop. So it always helps if, oops, the notification comes through on my watch and I can quickly check what's going on. I think these are going to look fantastic when I'm done with them. But that's just my opinion. It's a very interesting engraving. I just realized that there's 3 points which makes no sense to me. Well, actually more than 3, but 3 specifically I noticed now immediately. Quickly want to shift some things around. Wrong mouse. Yes, I'm currently running 2 different computers. One in front of me because that's where it is, and the other one, which is actually the one I'm using for the live stream. Eesh. And it gets confusing sometimes. See, one day when I'm big and I have a lot of money, I'll buy one mouse that I can use across both of them, just to make my life easier. Keep on forgetting where the camera is situated. I really need to make a plan to get it a bit more behind me. Or I need to zoom in a lot more as to what it is that I'm actually doing. Both of which is probably a good idea. Going to shift onto these now. Just the speech bubble. It's getting color. It's starting to look good. At least I think so, but I might be mistaken. Other people might think differently. And there's nothing wrong with that. Should be two of them. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with the ramen ones yet. I've got a fairly good idea with the sweet ones, but I still have some thinking to do. I'm open to suggestions if anyone has some, but until such time, I shall be following what I'm thinking. I'm actually sitting and thinking now. I could potentially save myself some space on my desk when I'm doing the miniature painting and run the stream from the other computer, which is permanently on the desk. It will also give me more USB ports, which means I could, if the camera I'm thinking of actually still works, plug in a secondary camera that looks straight at me, so I can do a little bit more with what's going on here. I shall test that out after the stream. I've just kind of grown used to running it from a laptop simply because it's what I use for the D&D live stream on Wednesdays, which has been going on significantly longer than the miniature painting streams. Oh, we're getting there. Don't know how much of this is showing up on camera itself, but it is what it is. This is the one I'm looking for. I'm also curious, and you can let me know what you think. I have 2 scale models, scale model airplanes. Curious if that would be something people would be interested in seeing rather than the usual minifigure painting, which is not what I'm doing right now anyways. Okay, so seeing as Twitch chat is not popping up on YouTube, I'll just repeat the question. It's just been asked if this is the folding terrain that I'm working on. No. Sadly, I won't necessarily say sadly, but no, it's not. This is some older terrain called LabWorX, which is a series of corridor terrain designed specifically with infinity in mind. I haven't actually, beyond the teaser that I shared earlier this week, I haven't actually had the opportunity to expand on that terrain yet. Also, the thinking with that terrain is more along the lines of 40k, which I honestly don't like the new terrain rules in 10th edition. It is so limiting, it is so boring. I don't know what Games Workshop was thinking, so I want to use the folding terrain concept a bit more, but I shall have to see. Well, I first want to finalize the 40k terrain before moving over to using that elsewhere. The idea with the 40k terrain is to follow the, I think it's called the Paragon Nexus rules. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Which is more the general free play rules rather than the WTC rules, which is the tournament specific rules. Or at least that's my understanding. I haven't actually played 40k since 8th edition. So, yeah. So, Interesting that you mentioned Kill Team. I know over at Jigs Hobbies they are currently using the LabWorX terrain, because I forgot my LabWorX terrain there. So they do actually use that for Kill Team, and apparently it works very well. So yes, this will work for Kill Team, if in that sense. I might pick up Kill Team again. I've got a very fairly complete group of whatchamacallits, Harlequins, which I kind of sort of have on my desk for tonight, to prep them to be primed. But these vending machines are taking a bit longer than what I was hoping they would. But I'm still enjoying it. So voting yes to the scale models, fantastic. I shall make a plan to do them in the future. There are two scale models that is very near and dear to my heart, as they are, listen carefully, Ed Force One, not Air Force One, Ed Force One. So Iron Maiden's Boeing 747 that they used to tour the world. The specific one, well, the one that was released that I know of is for the Book of Souls World Tour. That was awesome. I saw them live. I'm considering being a bit of a dick now and going to go fetch my drumstick to show on screen. Although, having mentioned that, I might already be a bit of a dick. Yes, I caught a drumstick. And then the other one is the Aces High Spitfire, also the Iron Maiden scale model. So, two near and dear to my heart because I'm a big Iron Maiden fan. Yes, it was wonderful seeing them live. And should I have the money to go do that in Europe, I shall most definitely go do that. Because sadly, I don't think they'll be coming to South Africa again anytime soon. I missed one. I painted the one side, not the other. Mistakes were made and they shall continue to be made. Because I am human, and that is what we do. Oh, the other very fun thing about the Aces High Spitfire model, it's got two, not really minifigures, but approximately about 100 millimeters high figures of Eddie, a mechanic and a pilot, which is part of the reason why I bought them in the first place. And longer term, I can't remember which company makes them, but there is a company that makes scale models of 80 of the different Iron Maiden album covers. I know there's a Piece of Mind. If I remember correctly, there is Fear of the Dark, Power Slave, Trooper, obviously. I mean, that's a very iconic version of Eddie. So, can't remember what the rest are. I think there is a Benjamin Brieg as well. Delving deep into Iron Maiden lore now. But I I kind of need to get my hands on those. They made both small, almost like dioramas of the album covers, and then a collection of Eddie busts. I'm very much of the opinion I want both. I really can't afford it, but I want both. That's nice. It's sad that the Meg ammo paints never really picked up. I actually quite enjoy them. But Jigs Hobbies phased them out because they wouldn't sell them, or people weren't buying them, so obviously I don't blame Jigs for phasing them out. But that does mean that I need to buy a different brand. I have some Army Painter and I enjoy that as well, so... And since both Jigs and Nexus is currently stocking them, that might be the route I go. The one thing that Meg Ammo is not good at least in my experience, is their brushes. This brush really isn't that old, and the first time I used it, the whole ferrule fell off, and the second time I tried using it, and the hairs very quickly split. Now it is a synthetic brush, but it's not supposed to be that quick. Yeah, pigment dropping out. I've noticed it on the black airbrush paint. Yes, not too fond of that. The other issue that I do have with Meg Ammo is their primers are not primers. I've had it that I would airbrush prime it, a model, with their primers, and then like 2 days later I would just wipe the paint off with my bare finger. I ended up going back to priming it with a rattle can, and then using their primers as like an undercoat. So I would buy their primers, and then I would use that when I'm doing a zenithal highlight, rather than trying to prime with the primer itself, which is a bit of a stain on them. But I have no experience with any other airbrush primers, so I'm not sure if I'd maybe just did it wrong, or if that is the case with their primers. I mainly bought into Meg Ammo because shortly after I got my airbrush, that is what was immediately available as airbrush paints. Because my closest hobby shop is Geek Home. Not Geek Home, it's Jigs. Geek Home used to be the closest. But they've moved away, and I'm not sure what's going on there anymore. So closest one is currently Jigs, and that's what they had. They have recently started stocking, specifically Army Painter, but also Citadel, which makes it a lot easier for me. Okay, that is all the whites. I'm thinking I should make the cats on the ramen also white. So yeah, I'm gonna do that while the white is out. So I've got two people, one saying they live walking distance from Jake's, which I honestly don't know if that's a good thing. My wallet would not survive that. Well, it already doesn't, and I don't live walking distance from them. Then I've got someone saying that they wish they lived closer to Jake's. Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with that because, like I said, the wallet. But maybe that's just me. I've been to Essex, or however you pronounce that, I think once, almost 10 years ago, and back then it was already dead. I'm actually surprised that they're still surviving, but I've got no idea what's going on there. So, Citadel, I have loads. Brilliant paint, absolutely beautiful miniature paint. Really have no complaints of the paint itself. The pots, absolutely horrific. I don't know what Games Workshop was thinking when they made the Citadel pots. We expect better from you, Citadel. Games Workshop. Maybe one day when we're big, we'll get something else, something better. I've heard of people who buy Citadel and then just decant them into dropper pots that you can buy, empty pots here in South Africa locally at places like Plastilon, which is very tedious in my opinion. But if you like the paints that much, then go for it. And if you like the paints that much, then, well, good news. My dropper bottle trays that I designed for all the various ranges of paint racks that I do is actually sized specifically to allow for the dropper bottles you buy at Plastilon, because they're slightly larger than the pots used by like Army Painter or Vallejo. So if you wish to decant and you're worried that the pots will not fit in your paint racks, buy paint racks from me and your problem's solved. Shameless self-promotion. Ignore me. Or not. It's up to you. But yeah, Citadel, I really enjoy the paints. But the pots they use is absolutely and horrific. And if you're a Citadel user when it comes to paints, I know you've experienced this before, where you would throw away a bottle of wash that was full, and it was full because you knocked it over. Long live that bottle of Nuln oil and Agrax Earthshade. Yes, I've knocked over 2. I've made myself, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to incorporate this into a proper product, but I've made myself a stand specifically to not do that. I know you get 3D printed versions as well, but I had a laser cut and not a 3D printer. So it might be within a tray that I do for the paint tray system in the future, as that range is going to continue expanding. So the good news is, if you bought into the paint tray system, the paint trays are available separately, and it's much cheaper than buying a whole new paint rack, which is part of the reason why I designed that system in the first place. I felt that the paint pots, the regular paint racks that you can buy, is just too expensive. And if you change your brand, then you're kind of screwed, and you're stuck with the same paint rack system that you bought into. Nothing against the other companies that makes it, but in my experience as a miniature painter, it is not the best solution. It's a good solution, it's just not the best solution. But I'm very opinionated about the kind of things that I design because, well, I design them. Might need to add a few more drops of white paint to continue. But the kitty is white. I might have added a drop or 6 too much water. So now this paint is flowing everywhere it shouldn't. Okay, let's add some more paint before we continue. The other thing that I found also quite enjoyed of the ammo pots is I think Jax might still have them. They sell paint sets for specific applications. So, as an example, I think it's these 3 if I remember correctly. I got these 3, a grey shine, a medium brown dark earth, and a dark green. Doesn't sound right, but I think it's right. Might be this one as well. But I mean, I got this specifically for the Aces High Spitfire, because those were the colors of the Spitfire. So, paint vortex mixer, yes, absolutely. I would love to get my hands onto one of them someday. But as with a lot of things, it costs money that I don't necessarily have available right now. Which is sad, but yes. See, if the streaming starts to do well enough that I'm actually getting paid for it, which is still ways down the line, then I can justify it as a business expense. I don't think I can do that yet. Which at this point doesn't actually mean anything because of that. Which is going, the government messed up again. But we're not here to talk politics, so we'll move past that topic very quickly. To do both kittens. Yes. Still getting used to trying to angle my painting so that it's visible on camera. So I apologize if you don't always see what it is that I'm doing. It is a habit that I need to learn. man. I need to start all over again. Let's do the second touch. So it might be a little bit late to think about this, but seeing as ramen is a Japanese dish, I'm actually now only thinking, well, seeing as ramen is a Japanese dish and there's a lot of symbolism involved with Japanese culture, I'm actually not sure if a white cat is maybe something bad. I don't know remotely enough about Japanese culture. I hope it isn't. If it is, please, or if you know whether or not it is, please tell me. I might then change the color of the cat. I hope it's not, because I don't want to change the color of the cat because it's tedious. Oops. I probably should have looked this up before I started. Well, that, and I like the look of the white cat. So the obvious thing would be to make the insides of the ears pink. But I don't have pink. I have red and white, I can make pink. But I don't have pink. I am starting to question, well, not starting to, I've been doing that for a while, to question my sanity. I thought I had a small palette with little dimples specifically for mixing more fluid paints, just contrast paints and washes. And logic dictates that it should be among my painting supplies, which is on this desk. But I'm not seeing it. I missed the pull, and it needs 2 layers.
believe I need new red. This one sounds very empty. Yeah, so I'm gonna place 2 dots of red. One there, and one pretty much inside the white. Might need a bit more white. Because, like I said, I need pink. This is still very red. It's still fairly pink. It's actually better white for mixing. Yeah, that feels better. A lot of people believe you need a small brush for details, and in this case I actually do agree with him, because this one's point is really not that sharp. But I also thought that considering I mixed quite a bit, I'm just someone gonna make the bowl pink as well, because I haven't figured out what other color I would like to do that. I shall go in with a smaller brush a bit later. And I'll do the nose as well. I don't know how apparent it is, but I think it works. So, with a laser cut pattern, this does feel a little bit like paint by numbers. It's like, oh, paint this color in this area, and this area, and this area. And don't go over the lines. But, maybe that's just me. I forgot about the camera again. Oops. Okay, you have me curious now. You love painting laser cut miniatures before you started miniature painting. That's not actually something I'm familiar with. Do you mind elaborating a little bit? Because I'm serious when I say I've never actually heard of that. The only time I know of that is when it comes to painting on terrain, or I don't know, when I was a kid you would get these dinosaur skeletons and so on, also laser cut, and you can paint those, but I've never heard of a laser cut image for painting. Maybe I'm just ignorant. Or it's a potential market for me. That was a joke. I guess it wasn't obvious. Okay. Yeah, I haven't been in a PNA or a CNA or something like that in quite some time. So, yes, I haven't seen those things. Thanks for letting me know. I'll definitely go have a look. A little bit scared of potentially infringing on someone else's intellectual property, mainly because I'm planning on taking my business as big as possible, so I don't want to cause potential issues that will make things difficult for me in the future. So I shall try, if I do something like that, I'm gonna try and keep it within my intellectual property, so things that I think up and generate. I'm also assuming that it's more intended for younger generations, although that is very much an assumption. True. I'm thinking of expanding some of the laser cutting that I do to include just more flat graphic kind of things. A while back I saw it might have actually been on Pinterest, because that's where you always get brilliant ideas from that everyone else hates or loves, if you do it correctly. but a sign that said, I think it was engraved. I'm not. It could have been painted as well, but that read something along the lines of 0 days since last dragon attack, and then the sides of the sign is scorched. I was wondering of doing something similar, but for D&D. So obviously for D&D, but laser engraving it, and then have it like, say, 7 days since last dragon attack, or 14 days, or whatever the period is between your D&D sessions. So you can have that in your the room you play D&D, and then it references the last time you actually were able to get together as a group. So in my case, it would be 7 days since last dragon attack, because we play pretty much every week. Although sometimes I play more than once a week. No, actually I don't. The weeks that I don't play on Wednesdays, I play on Fridays. So it's just a different day. I do play a different RPG, TTRPG, on Mondays, which I'm quite enjoying thus far. Yeah, thinking of doing signs like that. So it's probably a piece of plywood with engraving on it. It costs a few bucks. I might keep those almost event exclusive, so you'd be able to pick them up at like Comic-Con, or if I do the medieval market, or medieval fair, or the fancy fair, or something like that. It reminds me, I need to organize stuff for medieval fair for me for this year. I'll think of a few more ideas other than just the last dragon attack. So there is another idea, but that might be infringing on Wizards of the Coast's intellectual property, which is probably not a good idea. But I'm wondering if people would be interested in a map of the... I know it's the Fey Run, but I've heard a lot of people call it the Fey Rune. But basically a D&D map, or a Middle-earth map engraved onto a piece of wood. Curious to see if something like that will sell. Although, no, actually it's not infringing on D&D's intellectual property because of the open gaming license. I can do that. New product incoming, I don't know when. Follow me on, follow the Brink Designs Instagram and it'll be there. Don't know how obvious it is. I do notice the light on the camera itself makes it a little bit difficult. I'll post pictures on the Denizens of the Atmosphere Insta. But it's got pink ears and a pink nose. I'm inclined to agree with you on the map of the Lord of the Rings, of a map for Lord of the Rings, i.e. the Middle-earth map. Only reason why I would not do that for myself is I already have a beautiful map of Middle Earth up in my house, so I would not be engraving one of those for myself. In terms of the map for Faerun or Faerun, I don't actually play in their settings, so it's not really applicable to me. But I can definitely see how some people would be interested in something along those lines. The sad part of doing an engraving like that is it's unfortunately going to be quite pricey, because when it comes to laser cutting, you predominantly pay for the time that the laser cutter is busy, and the most time consuming process you can run on a laser cutter is engraving. So I'll just have to double check prices before I confirm whether or not I'll do something like that. The smaller stuff, sure, it's not going to be that bad, but a big map is going to get a little bit pricey. Finally, moving on to something else. So, the front of the vending machines do actually have, at least in part, what's available inside them, which I'm going to give some color now, and then it'll be a lot easier to see. It'll need a second coat, but that's looking cool. I'm very happy with that. I'm thinking of doing the ramen in blue. Actually, and it came up in conversation again earlier tonight. A while back, a friend of mine was looking for someone to do custom engraving for his business, and we were out having a beer, and he was literally sitting across from me, sending a voice note to his person doing his admin or his secretary or something. I'm not sure what exactly she is. Asking her to find someone who does laser cutting. It's like, dude, it's like, I do laser cutting. Come on, be better. You know this. We've discussed this multiple times. He very quickly deleted that voice note, and I got the job. And he was impressed enough that he said there will be more work for me in the future, so... Friends. So I'm actually thinking of going to Citadel, the blue. One, because their McCrag blue is actually a very nice blue, and it is a bit thicker paint, so it does go better over the grey than the airbrush paint, which is the only, well, or the transparent, which is the only other blues that I have available. The reason why I need to do that is because there is ramen written on the side of the thing as well. Sadly, I am not planning on moving to Springs anytime soon. Yes, obviously more business would be wonderful, but it's a bit far from everything that I do know, so backing up and leaving is not really the best option at this point in time. That is much appreciated. At this point, I'm not aware of anyone else in South Africa that really specializes as much as I do in making things, laser cutting things for miniatures. I know of a few other people doing terrain they found online, but it's a few smaller pieces. So, sure, if you send work my way, it is always appreciated. Let's see. Unknown has been posted, at least some groups. Yes, there it is. So, just a reminder for the miniature painting community, there is a 5% off code available for my website, which is valid until the end of the year. I am in the process of changing my website to a new platform, so my website is currently down for maintenance. It should be back up on Tuesday. Yeah, sadly, I don't think the crafting community really sees us miniature painters as equal or relevant or whatever the correct terminology is, because then again, the crafting community is also so big and so varied. I would argue that scratch building miniatures and then painting them up is crafting. But That is my opinion. So, I unfortunately have some very bad news for you. There is some more cool stuff planned just for this year alone, which is part of the reason why I'm unhappy with the date changes for Comic-Con, as it means I've got 1 month less to develop new things in time for Comic-Con. I'll be sharing a photo of a new terrain piece that I just finished building earlier today. Testing it for retail, which will be, but I'll be sharing that on the Brink Designs Instagram. I'm very nearly finished with another rubber band gun, which obviously the little boys will which the younger boys will enjoy, but also the older boys, such as myself. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm angry. I'm definitely unhappy, because it does change my planning quite drastically. Along with that, if I understand the communication correctly, the change is also not Comic-Con that decided to change, but rather they were kind of given a choice: either change or do dates or don't have an event this year, because of supposed upgrades that is happening at Nasik. But that is from my understanding. So I'm not angry at Comic-Con, I'm just unhappy with the fact that I now have less time to finish up. And I think a part of that is also, it is not that far from me. Yes, she's definitely stressed about that. I think also because she's planning on being at the Medieval Fair, which is another market, so it's another potential sales, which means she needs to generate more stock, which, from a business perspective, not having enough stock isn't a bad problem to have. I'm not saying it's not a problem, it's just not a bad problem to have. So yes, I should be fairly okay in terms of stock creation, but I was planning several new designs that I don't think I'm gonna have the time for, because I need to start generating stock sooner than what I was anticipating. Yeah, don't remind me of the competition entries. I'm in the process of acquiring a miniature specifically for that, and I'm also very stressed about that, because it's going to be my first time entering, and I kind of want to leave a good impression. Partially also because Richard and I have had conversations in the past, mainly because of the stuff I make. But I have mentioned it to him last year at Comic-Con, but we never got around it. I would actually very much enjoy his opinion on some of the miniatures I've painted until now. Just getting someone who is an expert in this field's opinion on how I can improve. Hats off to you. Doing 5 miniatures for Comic-Con is next level. I mean, yeah, sure, with the miniature painting comps that the Molcast does over at Nexus, we get 4 hours to paint a miniature, but that's completely different. So yeah, I'm also planning on doing a large miniature. I think it's company's called Big. Well, I know there is a company with that name. I'm thinking it is that company called Big Child Creatives. I don't know if you've had a look at the miniatures. Beautiful, absolutely stunning miniatures. I know Jigs has some in stock, and I think whatchamacallit, Pandemonium Games might still have a few left. But they do some wonderful larger miniatures. So I'm thinking of entering Guinevere from them in the 100mm category. And once I've finished this R, I'll quickly pick her up. I'm thinking of doing the chibi Triss that I've been painting for a while. In the 75mm category. I think that's cool. When I put them together, obviously it'll pop. So, I've been painting her for a while now, and she's coming along fairly nicely. So, I am actually considering. You can actually see there's blood and gut. Well, sort of. There we go. I'm actually thinking of maybe entering her into the 75mm scale, because that is what she is supposed to be. I can double check because I have a tape measure right here next to me, mainly because I work with my hands. Let's see. Yeah, she'll count as 75. So, oh, that should be wonderful. So, as you progress, post photos of your miniatures on Instagram and tag me. I want to see them, please. I'm really curious to see what other people are planning on doing or working on. I do also know that part of the requirement is you need to show evidence of your work, so that's a good excuse. Show me. I want to see pretty miniatures. I haven't been on Discord in months. And I joined the Wildstorm Discord for the announcements last year because I added gave them price support. But that might have been the last time I've been on Discord. I mean, this is what's that? Well, that was beginning of October. Now we're beginning of April. What's that? 5-6 months down the line. But I'll go have a look. If I remember. I hope I remember. Well, keep that in mind. Seeing as I'm very much throwing myself out there with the fact that I'm painting miniatures by doing this. and apparently not actually painting miniatures. Oops. Now, sadly, I'm thinking the Guinevere that I'm going to be painting for Comic-Con, I'll probably not do that live stream, simply because then I don't have to worry about the camera as well, and I can just sit and focus on painting. Because, as you can see, I constantly forget about the camera and change the angle so you can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, Richard from Wildstorm last year told me, well, he's not going to buy it because he doesn't use it. He absolutely loves my painting handles because it's a big middle finger towards Games Workshop and their painting handles. Or at least that's the way he sees it, but it's exactly what it is. Not really, it's just an alternative to their very expensive painting handles. Which Cerberus model? Tell us. Wait. Am I sounding too excited to see balls? Oops. Okay, you have me curious enough that I'm gonna go look this up. You said it's Persephone from Neferata Designs. I haven't actually heard of that company. The other thing that this is making me want to do, if this will play along now, is listen to Septic Flesh again. Their song Persepolis. I know it's the same character, but it's the same mythology. Oh, it's a beautiful model.
I'm not sure if I should be offended or not with people sending me pictures of balls. But thank you. Don't make this a habit, please. But yes, it's fucking hilarious. It really is a beautiful model. I love it. Septic flesh. CP. Let's go with that one. It really is. I have a suspicion, strong suspicion that I shall be having a more in-depth look at their lineup, because I also see, as I was starting to type Neferata designs per for Persephone, it gave me Persepolis, which is which reminded me of the Septic Flesh song. Ooh. No, I shouldn't be looking at models I can't afford. I shall be moving on swiftly. I shall save it for later, to look at the rest of the stuff. Otherwise my pen's gonna dry out. I already started to. I had a quick look. The pricing does seem decent. So I'm currently also spending quite a bit of time on Madness 3D's site. I might have to start looking elsewhere. Sadly, I'm not in a position to divulge what it is that I'm looking for. Predominantly because should one of my D&D players see this, they're gonna know what's coming. So, but I'm looking for a miniature to use for the BBEG, which should hopefully occur later on in this year. Or at least I hope it does. I really hope it does. This campaign's been going on for over 5 years now. I want to start on a different story. Yeah, I don't think going to Discord is going to solve my problem. I asked Aldri, who works for Madness, straight, hey, listen, do you have a large miniature like this? And sadly, the answer was no. So, I might have to go look on my mini factory or Colts or whatever, in order to see if there is miniatures available for what it is that I want. If not, might have to settle for something else. Although some of the Tyranid models might actually work. I love the Tyranids, so beautiful to paint. Terrible to play against them. Well, way back when I still used to play 40k in 8th edition. I think we're really spoiled for choice when it comes to miniature painting these days. If I look back just a few decades, I mean, like just the 90s, which is already 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was so much less when it comes to model options. If it makes you feel better, I discovered some miniatures in my pile of potential that I had forgotten about, significantly increasing my backlog. So, please don't feel alone. No. Pile of potential. Well, we're not shaming anyone here. Pile of potential. Although I do think there is a point where pile of potential does become pile of shame. I just haven't found it yet. If you're a miniature painter, you have a pile of potential somewhere. Otherwise, you're not a real miniature painter. I don't believe these people who claim that they finish one miniature or set of miniatures before they buy the next ones. No one does that. No one. What kind of monster are you? What sorcery is this? Only, what, 8 unpainted miniatures? I think I have more than that sitting on this desk alone, and this desk is empty. Okay, half painted, half painted, half painted. 4 half painted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 9 unpainted figures. No, more. 10, 11, 12 unpainted figures just on this desk, and this desk is fairly empty. I shall say nothing of the 150 foot soldier skeletons that is hidden in a drawer somewhere. That is just the foot soldiers. It's not the rest of the army yet. So what you're actually trying to say is there's still time for your pile to grow. I think along with the miniatures that I discovered earlier today, I'm sitting probably somewhere between about 300 and 400 miniatures that's unpainted. So, I mean, even 20 unpainted, and I'm not talking about the half painted, I'm talking about the unpainted. So, I mean, those are rookie numbers. Okay, is it 15 pieces for one miniature, or 15 miniatures for a squad? Because 15 pieces but one miniature is technically still one miniature. What was I going to say? Still only counts as one. Yeah, but the Nexus days we paint the miniature there and it's done, over and done with. Unless you're like me and you've run into some issues and you still haven't painted the hamster samurai. I need to re-prime it because its butt wasn't primed properly. Okay, so 9 miniatures. Plus a bust. Plus the other 2. 13. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. Should I post a photo of, well, photos, multiple, of my unpainted miniatures on Instagram? And then you guys can judge if it's a pile of potential or a pile of shame. Let me know. I was kind of I had a feeling that would be the answer, and I wasn't particularly fond of it, but okay. I shall post a photo on the Denizens of the Atmosphere Instagram, because that's where the painting stuff happens, is somewhere during the following week. So if you don't, if you want to see it and don't follow me on that Instagram, yes, I have more than one. Please do so. That's also where I post reminders of the live streams. That's a lot better. Now I can actually read what it says. So that versus that. I mean, you can see it's painted, but it's not there. I am gonna leave the front one dark because it's a light background. So I don't think you guys heard that, because I did say it very much at the beginning. These vending machines that I'm painting actually is designed specifically to house LEDs. Now I'm not going to do the wiring live. I don't think it's a problem, but I'm not sure if anyone's really interested in that. But I will try and get these done, and then just quickly on the live stream show what they look like next week, with the LEDs, everything wired up, completed. I do believe that will make quite a big difference. But I do believe that might imply that I need to finish painting them up during the week, because I noticed now that it's a bit later than I anticipated. Which is fine, I still have whiskey left.
while I think about this, or of this quickly, if I can find myself, that will definitely help. So, if you are interested in the Instagram as to where to find it, it was slightly unplanned. Well, when I decided on the name Denizens of the Atmosphere, I wasn't at that point thinking of doing the live stream part, so it's not the easiest name to find. Although the Instagram is .atmosphere, which is quite a bit easier. My thinking currently is that seeing as I have the colors available and there's a bit more, well, mixed more than I planned, I might as well use it to add some other detail. Fuck. Oops. Thankfully I'm wearing an old shirt. It frames it a bit better, I think. And then if you join it with a front portion, which is what should happen. Yes, I think that's starting to look good. So I still need to paint the ramen that the kitten is eating and the chopsticks, and then these ones are done. I still have quite a ways to go with the snacks one as the little girl, which is, I don't think, visible at all on the bottom, isn't even touched, and with a paintbrush.
context is everything. But, I mean, even if you just pop this in, I mean, that's already significantly better than what they were. So I'm quite happy with my progress thus far. Okay, so the last one's going to be a slightly different color. Well, very close. Mainly because I ran out of the color I mixed. Oops. I think that's pretty much exactly the same. So I'm happy about this because I was thinking of using the same blue for the whatchamacallit, for the other one as well. But I think I'm gonna call it for tonight once I've finished this one. Because it is getting late and some of us have work tomorrow. The life of a responsible adult. Don't grow up, kids. It's a trap. Well, if you're still awake at this time of night, then, yeah, I don't know. You should have been in bed like 3 hours ago. It's a bit of an odd time, in all honesty. Although I do understand night shift. I've done night shift before. Well, the good thing is you get paid in dollars. Or at least I hope you are. Which means you're also one of those weird people that is excited when the rand is weak. Weirdo. Been there, done that. It sucks. I've no intention of doing that again. So, I will. Yes, that's rough. That's very low. Now, sadly, I will not be able to keep you company live while you work. However, if you are bored and you want something to do or to listen to while you're working, I do live stream D&D as well, and everything we've done thus far is available on YouTube, which one campaign is nearing episode 40 now, actually. And the other campaign is only about episode 12 about. So you're welcome to follow on that. I believe it's a very interesting story, but I'm the dungeon master, so obviously I believe that, so don't take my word for it. But yeah, I'm pretty much done here. We're live pretty much every single Wednesday. We shall be live on this platform, well, on this account, on this platform, as well as YouTube again on Wednesday from 7 o'clock. Although it might not be a bad idea just to catch up a little bit as to what's going on in the story. As we are nearing the end of the campaign. Cool. Okay, let's just double check. Front and back. Ooh, missed one. Okay, I am going to call it for the evening. It's been a lot of fun. I got a lot further with these miniatures, which is obviously, sorry, good for me, and for the painting that I do. I got sent pictures of bulls, which is a first for me and a very unique experience, one that I would not like repeated. So yes, it's been an interesting evening. Thank you for joining me. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for the chats. Yeah, so just a reminder, this week I am playing D&D again on Wednesday from 7:30. It's the Isles of Adamor group, so things are really ramping up. We're getting close to the end of the campaign, so things are getting very, very dangerous for them. It's very, very exciting. I'm quite excited about what's going to happen next. And then I will be back next Sunday, same time, 8 o'clock, with some more miniature painting. Hopefully then I will paint some actual miniatures, not some other random stuff. Although technically it's miniatures. I mean, it's meant for infinity, and if I compare that to the, I think this is roughly the average size. It is miniature, so, but yeah. Thanks for joining me. Have a wonderful evening further. Good luck with everyone who has to work now or tomorrow morning. We shall see one another again soon.